Good morning and welcome on this live safari. Quite an exciting start. My name's Brent. I have Jandre up on the camera. James is out in tracking team helping us at the moment. We've had male lions calling all around us, but they keep to just jumping ahead of us the whole time. So the last tracks we had came off Mumbai heading straight south, so we've come off the road and we're just waiting here to see if we can hear them again. Unfortunately, Jamie and Brian are having some gremlin issues on the other vehicle, so hopefully they will be up, but we are hot on the tracks of male lions that have been calling since about 4 o'clock this morning. So we are live looking for lions. Apart from being live, we're interactive, so you can ask us questions about what we're looking for or what we're looking at, and you can do that by emailing us on questions@wildearth.tv or use the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. So at the moment we're just standing by here. I'm hoping that these lions have moved through here. What I am going to do is go look on some of these game paths now to see if we find their tracks again. Nothing on that particular game path. We're going to check the next one that's slightly further to the east. So this area between us and the last tracks is a myriad of little drainage lines, so we can't actually drive in there. That's why I've jumped around to try and get ahead of them. Quite a chilly morning. It's about 11 degrees Celsius, 51 Fahrenheit. A nice big game path coming up ahead. So we were watching the hairy-bellied Matimba male mate with one of the Styx lionesses on the sunset safari last night, and Linda from Winnipeg, welcome on drive, Linda. Linda says maybe hairy-bellies are looking for ginger. Well, judging from the tracks, I think they actually found them. There's tracks of 2 male lions, so maybe they found each other, or who knows, being in a big open 3.5 million hectare wilderness area with no fences, there could be completely other lions we've never seen before. That's the thing that's so exciting about being on safari. So we're just going to listen again. I'm just going to get hold of James on the radio, so see if he's got any tracks. He's looped ahead of me. James. Okay, copy. Thanks very much. Unfortunately, we've got some bad news from James. They were moving incredibly quickly, and they've crossed across our southern boundary. It sounds, from what the update we've got, the Styx Pride with the 3 little guys have killed a buffalo just to the south of us, and I think that's the reason they've been moving so fast. They probably heard all that commotion and now they've gone to join for a free meal. Well, now we can slow down and get going with the rest of the safari. Let's go see what else we can find. First, we got to extricate ourselves from this thicket. Just caught the tail end of them calling to the south of us, and definitely south of our boundary. But at one stage there must have been about a kilometer from our camp, and that was at about 4:15 this morning. And even when, as we got moving and got onto the vehicles at about 6, we could hear them. They definitely still were on Djuma, but I think they definitely might possibly heard either those six ladies fighting over the buffalo, or actually even catching the buffalo, and that's why they have taken off like a bad smell and headed towards a free meal. So, since we've been hot on the trail of 2 male lions, Jenna from Oregon is wondering what is the scariest moment I've had as a guide. And Jenna, well, since we'll just talk about lions for now, I've had a few, but lions, the scariest moment I had with lions was probably about 70 or 80 kilometers due east of us, on the Lubombo Mountains, right on the edge of Mozambique, in the Kruger National Park, where I was lucky enough to work for a while. And there was quite a famous pride in that area. National Geographic actually did a show on that pride, and it was called the Mega Pride. While I was working there, there were probably around between 30 and 38 lions in that pride, and they had a coalition of 4 big male lions that were dominant over that. Those big males had huge home ranges, and obviously covering different prides. So sometimes we didn't see them. We can actually hear the lions roaring again just to the south of us. Can you guys? I'm not sure if you guys can hear it. It might be a little bit far. But that So, before I carry on with my story, I know a lot of our old viewers will have heard me do this before, but when I was a youngster in the bush, my dad and grandfather used to play lots of little games with us, and one of the games is, what does a male lion say? And they're puzzling, not sure, don't know what it says. So then they would get together and they go, whose land is it? Whose land is it? Whose land is it? It's mine. It's mine. It's mine. So, which is quite a good way, especially as kids, to sort of teach us a little bit about why lions call, and proclaiming territory and telling all the other lions around that that's their land. But anyway, sorry Jenna, back to the scary lion moment. And so sometimes those two, the males from that coalition, that mega pride, used to disappear off for weeks at a time while they went patrolling and visiting their other lady friends that lived outside of our concession. And this particular time, these lions hadn't eaten, or the main pride hadn't eaten in about 5 or 6 days. Very, very hungry. And we drove up along the edge of this drainage line called the Shinkelengan, which means fever tree in Shangaan. And we found their tracks going off a road into the drainage line. So my tracker, Glass, and myself, we jumped off and we walked, and we told the guests, don't worry, we're just going to go take a quick walk into the bush here, see if we can find these lions. And we left our guests on the vehicle, and I took my rifle out of its case, and Glass and I scurried off into the bushes. And we didn't go very far, but the reason I stopped here, as you can imagine, here's a drainage line in front of us. So we dropped through into the drainage line and across into a sort of sodic patch that was full of quarries. So we're probably less than 100 meters away from where the guests were sitting, but they couldn't see us. And we popped out of this quarry thicket, and there's this big open, really big open sodic patch, which is quite common in that area of the Kruger Park, and we spotted the lions. And they were probably 70, 80 meters away from us. So normally at that sort of distance, lions will sort of get up, look at you, maybe walk away, or just lie there and look at you. On this particular time, the two males got up and then just came at full speed straight at us. I loaded my rifle. My tracker, Glass, starts shouting, "Djuma! He says, just shoot the thing, shoot it!" Sorry, I'm just going to tell James he's trying to get hold of me. I'll be with him in a second. Stand by one, James. So, guys, we're gonna cancel the story for now. The lions have changed direction. Sound like they're coming closer to us. So hold on. We're gonna go down this very steep hill. Hopefully, I don't lose Jean-Andre. Okay, so hold on, guys. I will finish that story, don't worry. Just going to be on the radio for a second. I'm just going to chat to Craig. Oh, back book box. What we've got here is they've gone to the kill, and for some reason they've decided that they're not that hungry. I think it could be Birmingham, who were calling up to the north earlier. So they probably... There we go, James has found them, hold on. We're going to go through a dip, guys, but we want to get them in case they cross back to the south. There, you can see James running down the road, waving his hat at me, encouraging me to go faster and faster. They're chasing James. No, I'm joking, they're not. Whoop, on Leadwood Road. So, from what we can hear, there's quite a lot of excitement. There's different male lions calling, and we're not exactly sure who's who and what's going on. So there's male lions calling here on Djuma going that way, and apparently there's someone with them with timbers that side going this way. Sorry guys, I'm going to be on and off the radio for a second just to try to figure out exactly where. James, how far up Edward? Okay, copy. So sort of towards that sharp corner. So Jean-Ray, keep your eyes peeled. Sounds like they're right around this area somewhere. this is the area where James, while he was walking, he heard them calling. He thinks they might be around here. And those... There we go. There's a line. James, I've located, this doesn't look like a matimba to me. Too young. Okay, so this is definitely not a matimba. Who it is, I'm not sure at all. Oh, he's a little bit nervous. That's I've only got visual of one. There could be a few more. So this is really exciting, guys. I have no idea who this lion is. So he's heading towards where the matimbas are with a kill with the Sticks Pride. But there's just one we can see here. No, there's two. There's another lion. 3. This could be the Birmingham boys. This could be my first time with the Birmingham boys. Base station target, visual of 3 Madoda and Gala now. Just off Nedwick, just to the south of that sharp corner. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to put us right in front of them in case they're going to roar towards the matimbas. So apart from looking at them, we should get the full force of 3 male lions roaring. So guys, I'm just getting us into position. What I've done, Jandre is going to show them to you now, but in case they do roar, we're going to be right in that sort of vortex of sound. So I've never seen them. Oh, quiet. There's that little grunt before a roar. So the only thing that's going to make two... There the Matimbas are answering. should be in the best possible position to see what's going on between these two coalition of male lions now. Okay, so we're going to try to keep up with the head of that, and there's, as I was about to say, there's only one reason why two male lions would leave a free meal like a buffalo, and that's because there's a potential threat of other male lions in their area. Sorry guys, there's a couple of other vehicles trying to get in here. I'm just going to have to call them. Watch out, Chandra. We've got the two younger, if they are the Birminghams, just walking parallel to us, and that older one, you can see his mane's quite a lot fuller, is leading the charge and roaring straight, issuing a direct challenge at the Matimba males. Going to be on the radio for a second, guys. Stations these animals are now mobile due south towards Gowrie, Main. Probably halfway between, they'll pop out probably halfway between the Mawati and Cheetah Cut line. Quite a long way to the west, I'd say closer to the Mawati. Sounds like James has found the Matimbas quite close by here as well. So who knows what's going to happen? Are these three Birminghams going to run back to the north, or are the Matimbas in for the fight of their lives? So the Matimbas are probably less than a kilometre from where we are now. The Styx Pride is also probably less than a kilometre from where we are now. The Nkahuma Pride, I'm afraid, I have no idea where they are. We haven't seen them for a while. No one's seen any tracks. And that's Rene and Linda were wondering where the rest of the lions were. I'm hoping they don't go too far to the south there. There's some really messy drainage lines that we would have to try to go through. I wonder where the other two Birmingham boys are. So as these Birmingham boys head closer and closer towards the sticks and Matimbas, we'll just get you guys text. They're now heading towards the Mnisikaya. I'm nearly on the Mnisikaya road. They've changed direction a bit. So Brandy in Texas is wondering, would the Matimbas get the sticks females to move away, or would they stay and fight to protect the cubs? Brandy, I think the females will make the decision at some point that they would move away and abandon that kill if they felt that these lions were getting too close. They've stopped briefly. One's laid down in front, and we've got this beautiful young male in that morning light there, and I'm so excited. This is my first glimpse of the Birmingham boys. So from where we're sitting right now, the Matimbas are less than 400 meters. This could be just a testing out foray. Call. Quite a lot of sort of showing off to see whose sounds more impressive. Okay. Taxon. Copy. These three individuals are now at the old Mnisikaya, heading directly towards your position. There we go, scent marking in the core of Matimba territory at the moment. This is definitely the beginnings of attempted pride takeover. So we got asked yesterday whether the Birminghams had started scent marking on the sunset safari, and now we can see that they are definitely scent marking and taking off swathes of Matimba territory. Now, how the Matimbas react to this is going to be fascinating. So we're now probably 200 meters away from where the Matimba males are. We can hear the Matimbas calling back at us now. So, guys, it sounds like James was sitting with the Matimbas and they've run away. Highly mobile south, away from the Birminghams. Isn't this fascinating? I thought for sure that they would stand their ground, but now I'm really interested to hear from the guys to the south of us what. Okay guys, how amazing is that? We've got lions roaring all around us, but I want to get us into in a really good position now. Unfortunately, if they do cross, they're about to cross south over our boundary, unless the Matimbas decide to fight back and head back north. Look at that. We will just get into the spot. So that's definitely an area where the Matimba males, I've seen them scent mark around here, and you can see these Birminghams. They're smelling, definitely smelling other lion scent marks. So as we see these young Birminghams scent marking over the Matimbas, Edward was wondering, do they have a distinct smell like leopards do? Edward, not. I mean, it smells vaguely like urine when you're very close, but not as distinct, not like that buttered popcorn of a male leopard or female leopard. So I'm just going to wait for this guy to cross, and then the boundary is probably 50 meters from us, and they are hot on the heels of the Matimbas. And so we're just going to try to get there before they cross. Hold on. So if you hear that click, click, clicking away, it's just me taking a few photographs. I encourage you guys to do the same. Get some good screenshots. So from what I understand, those two Matimba males were probably lying up just to the other side of the road we are now, and they just decided to run away south. So what a fascinating morning it's been so far. And finally, the question whether the Birminghams are really putting pressure on the Matimba coalition has been answered, and the answer is most definitely 100% yes. So he's now crossed to where the Matimbas were lying, and he's roaring, directing a challenge straight at them. The Matimbas are answering. Just standing by there. It's going to be fascinating whether the Matimbas decide to respond to this challenge. At the moment, from what I hear, they took the chicken way out and they ran to the south. So both Matimbas are together. George Ann from Illinois was wondering that. And so far we only have 3 of the Birmingham males here. But there were so many tracks around on all the roads this morning that it's possible that the other 2 could be en route. So the other 2 Birminghams have crossed to join. I'm just going to move our vehicle so we can have a better look at all of them. Isn't this incredibly exciting? The only one slight wish I did have is that the Matimbas ran back onto Djuma and all the action happened there. Unfortunately, it looks like it's going to happen south of our boundary at the moment. So they're busy marching. So obviously this is very, very exciting. This is probably the first time a lot of our viewers have ever seen anything like this, with male lions on the march, pushing other male lions. What we'll do is I will discuss it in depth shortly, but we're going to keep having those last views of these males while we can. We're going to try have a look at the last views. They disappear. They're calling again. They've disappeared now, across to the south. I think the Matimbas are in for a big trouble. The fact that 2 big dominant adult male lions that have been dominant over this area for quite some time did not even stay to put up a tiny bit of a fight and ran to the south, we'll get hold of James on the radio and tell us if they were highly mobile or just walking away. But I've got a suspicion that they were highly mobile to the south, so tail between their legs and fleeing from the young marauding Birmingham boys. We're just going to try get out. There's lots of cars at this junction. I'm just going to try and get us out of here. The big question is, where are the other two Birmingham boys? Okay, we're just going to get away from all the pandemonium and traffic on the boundary, and then I'm going to stop and we're going to discuss and go through what's just been happening. Just hang on a second, guys. Let me just get comfortable here. What an absolutely fascinating, fantastic morning. You can still hear the lions roaring in the distance now. And obviously, I'm just as disappointed as you guys that we can't stay with that action. But who knows what's going to happen. Maybe the fight or chase will come back onto Djuma at some point. We'll definitely be checking the southern boundary really, really carefully. So there's quite a lot of questions, and I'm sure you guys are really as excited as me is about what's happening. But Jen, and I'm sure Jen's worried about the Styx cubs and females, and she'd like to know where exactly that kill is in comparison to where these lions were. Jen, almost directly where those Birmingham boys were heading. I will try get hold of some of the guys from the eastern sections a little bit later on a different channel to find out if those Styx lionesses did move off immediately. My sneaky suspicion is they have left that buffalo and they have hightailed it out of there. The Birminghams look like they're the ones who are going to be scoring a free meal at the moment. That'll also be a really interesting thing to watch, whether they stop and feed on that buffalo or they decide to keep putting pressure on those Matimba males. Oh, okay. So much excitement so early in the morning. How can we... So let's start basically back. Let's calm everything down. And let's talk about pride takeovers. Obviously, we've chatted quite a bit about speculation. Now we've seen what's happened. The Birminghams for quite a while have started calling up in the north. This is definitely the furthest to the south, I think, they've ever been seen. I know they have occasionally gone into the western sections, and they did that. Matimbas are now heading east at speed, and the Birminghams are now just over here. You can hear the Matimbas getting further and further and further away, but still roaring back. So basically what they're doing there is they're trying to sort of pretend they're still big and strong, and they're trying to intimidate those young males by vocalization, and obviously it does not seem to be working at the moment. It'll be very interesting to find out whether those male lions do stop at that buffalo carcass or continue to push the Matimbas. So as male lions get to this sort of age, the young guys, the Birminghams, they start getting a little bit more cheeky. So they'll start calling in another coalition's area, and they have been doing that for quite a while now. We've often heard those 5 male lions roaring to the north of us, and then this morning when we first heard the lions calling, now it makes me wonder. We were pretty sure we heard Birmingham's to the north at around 4:15 and Matimbas to the south. So the Birminghams then seem to have responded, and they've literally walked a hell of a lot of roads in Djuma. Almost every road around Pangolin, Weaver's Nest, Central, Basilia, Vulture's Nest, Nyala Road South, Mumba Road. It's just got lion tracks all over it. So what's possible is the Matimbas might have been there, or this could just be Birmingham's scattering. And it'd be very interesting to see. I just heard now that the other two Birminghams have actually crossed south, but further down. So all 5 Birminghams are actually in the south, and I'm quite sure they're going to join up to carry on using that sheer force of numbers to put pressure on the Matimbas. So what's going to happen now is one of two things. Sometimes lions transition or between the males can be a relatively non-violent thing, and a lot of roaring and posturing that the Matimbas just keep running and running and running and running until they're completely pushed out of their territory. What happens more often is that this will eventually come to a fight, and what will happen is those Birminghams will literally hunt down the Matimbas and kill them. I think that's what in my experience, that's what happens more normally. All the Matimbas might be decide discretion is the better part of valor and gap it. So obviously for the Matimbas now, probably the toughest time since they were young males that have been expelled from their natal pride is coming ahead now. So they're going to be sort of nomadic males, sort of sneaking around the peripheries of and sneaking through the territories of other male lions, hoping not to be caught. They do tend to linger quite a bit, so they will sneak around and still try to spend time with the Styx pride, then Kahuma pride. Now with the lion prides, the female prides at this moment, obviously from the Styx point of view, this is very bad news. For 2 reasons. Obviously we saw that Styx lioness mating with a Matimba male last night. So that's sorry guys, just listening, because if there's a big fight and chase, you never know which direction they're going to go. Calming down. So the Birminghams are definitely moving straight back towards those Matimbas. It'll be interesting to see how far away the Matimbas are when they respond to that. So, sorry, back to that. So, probably the biggest risk for the Matimbas now is being on a carcass or a kill, and the Birmingham smell it and manage to come in a sneak attack. Not like this, which is an open, aggressive push at the territory. So now they've sort of, the fact that the Matimbas are moving off, they might sort of feel that they've got the upper hand. This could change. The Matimbas might fight back tomorrow, and they just don't feel like it today. And the thing is, you never know what's going to happen. But as I was saying, the biggest threat now to the female prides, they're just calling and calling, the female prides of lions is these Birmingham boys, and specifically the Styx pride, because they do have 3 young cubs, as well as the one female has just been mating with the Matimba male. So very interesting time. Unfortunately, and I know a lot of you are going to be very, very upset to hear this, is that it's probably very unlikely those 3 cubs will survive to adulthood. Most likely scenario is the Birmingham boys will unfortunately remove them, and in removing them will cause the females to come into estrus again, and so they can mate and try sire the next set of cubs, which is very interesting. And this is very new sort of information that's come out of a very recent study, is that with lion and leopard, when there is a territory takeover like what's happening at the moment, the females, that first set of estrus after their cubs are killed, or that first set of estrus that they have with new males, is almost a false estrus. So it's a false estrus. They will mate, but there will generally be no cubs from that mating. And there's a very good evolutionary reason for this, is that the next estrus cycle is probably going to be in about 3 months, and it gives the females a chance to decide whether these males are actually going to stay around, or they're going to be kicked out by another group of males very shortly. So it's generally only that second estrus cycle that they will mate with a new group of males that you will get cubs. So unfortunately, from a lion point of view, it's probably going to be a while before we see cubs again. But really, really exciting and interesting stuff to witness. Nature can be incredibly violent and incredibly harsh, but we must remember it is nature, and we cannot force our human emotions on a natural system. So as sad as it is, and I'll be very sad if the Birminghams do catch up with those little sticks, guys, it is part of nature, and it is part of lion dynamics, and that is how these pride changes and territorial changes happen. So very sad, but it is a necessity. The Matimbas have been in power for a long time, so it is bringing a completely new genetic bloodline into the area, which is, in the long run, very healthy for the lions. Staying with the same males for too long, they end up mating with their daughters, and so the genetics does get quite muddied, for lack of a better description. But we will be following what's going on here very intently. I am super excited about this, even though as I said, quite sad that the Matimbas are sort of at the end of their reign and the Sticks cubs might be under threat. The fact is, we're going to have lions roaring all the time, as they are doing right now again, and it's very interesting to watch, and from a purely naturalist point of view, we can see what would happen in the situation. So now, then Kahuma pride, Sticks pride, possibly Torchwood pride, Talamati pride, I think those are the prides that the Matimbas have lorded over. We might find lions we've never seen, like the prides from near the Kruger Park boundary, like the Talamati and Torchwood, all over the place, and 2s and 3s and lionesses all over. So they will be trying to avoid these Birminghams for the beginning until they've really established themselves. So it is going to be a very exciting time to be watching the lion prides. So obviously a little bit sad about what's happening, but also at the same time very excited, and we still have to remember that this is a natural system. So now what? So much excitement. The lions are calling just over the boundary, and I actually think they're coming closer. I think it is worth staying very close to this area. Those audios sound like it's much closer than it was before. Let me just, I've turned my radio down while I was chatting to you guys. I'm just going to ask Tax what's going on. Stations are those? My daughter's heading back north. Yes, they are. Okay. Come on, we're off again. So it sounds like the Matimba posturing might have paid off. That's why I didn't want to go too far while we're talking. We just wanted to get away from the other vehicles. I've now knotted myself completely with my earpiece, so just give me a second. So much excitement. Now the Birmingham seem to be running away from the Matimbas. So this is what happens quite often. There's a lot of sort of up and down in these pride takeovers, and they're by no means over in a very quick succession normally. So I can see 3 males, 4 males. Okay, we're just going to try and get in front with 5 males. So all 5 Birminghams. Still roaring, but just possibly not looking as confident as they were. So they came running back out of the south. So the Matimbas decided obviously to give a good account of themselves, and obviously it's quite frustrating for us because we don't know exactly what happened down there. Hello, boys. Okay, guys, Tex says he can see the Matimbas coming behind them. So, really exciting what's going on now. So the Matimbas, maybe they had some tactics, move away and then come back with force. That roaring we're hearing is the Matimbas. And here comes the last of the Birminghams at quite high speed. Oh, he's going to stop for a scent mark though, just in case. These lines are running, so I'm going to have to go quite quickly to stick with the Birminghams. I'm quite sure we might get a chance to see the Matimbas a little bit later. So as I was saying, you never know what's going to happen, and a lot of that roaring and stuff is posturing at the beginning stages of these pride takeovers. So because the Matimbas are so big and have been dominant for so long, I think the Birminghams might have used this as just a little tester to try see how weak or dominant or what the Matimbas were, and obviously the Matimbas have responded in kind. It's difficult to say whether they waited till they could see these young males. There they are up there. But they are highly mobile now. Running through the bushes. Whoops, daisies. Looking back over their shoulders. I think these little guys have a bit more growing to do before they're quite ready to challenge the Matimbas. I think if they happen to catch a single Matimba by itself, it might be a very different story. But the two together, all that experience they've had, they've been in many a fight with male lions, I'm sure. So that will definitely count in their favor. Whether these guys probably haven't fought too much apart from amongst themselves yet. So we've been listening to an incredible amount of lion vocalization this morning from the Matimbas and from the Birminghams. And Sandy from Indiana said she's read that lions can determine how many coalition members they are facing by the calls. And do I think this is what happened this morning? I think most definitely to a degree, Sandy. What happened is they would have had 3 or 4 or 5 calling, and they would have gone, uh-oh, and they would have moved away. Then possibly if they got a sight of them and realized the age of them, they might have sort of decided, hey, hang on, we're not going to be pushed around by these young bucks just yet, and decided to come back towards them. So guys, just be on the radio, just let the other guys know what's going on. Tag stuck. Sounds like the Matimbas have crossed into Djuma as well, but we're going to stick with the Birminghams for now. Taxon. Big hole. Okay guys, these Birminghams are about to come out onto Leadwood. Confirm the timbers have crossed north as well. Copy, thanks very much Craig. I'll stick with the Birminghams for now. They are heading north, just crossed Leadwood Road. I'm going to try to stick with them. So they are going into quite a difficult area. So the Matimbas are still moving north behind us. So the guys there, they haven't crossed across the boundary there, but they are within sight of it. So it'll be very interesting to see if the Matimbas decide to really push forward this advantage that they've won and keep on these guys. And I've just heard, sure, it's a very much a lion moon. The Kahumas have been found just to the east of us in Torchwood. So lions and lions and lions everywhere today. This is a very, very difficult block. We tried to follow the Kahumas through here before and we had difficulty, but I do remember a sneaky crossing point. So we're not going to be directly behind the lions for a little bit because I'm not going to be able to cross the river or the drainage line there. But if I remember correctly, I should be able to cross where that weeping boerbean is, and the lions will be just up to our east. So guys, I just need to concentrate quite heavily now to see where I can get through this drainage line. Just see the lines disappearing. I was slightly off the crossing points over there. I actually think I've been through this crossing point with Jandre before, and it's probably one of the more difficult ones we ever crossed. The Birminghams are calling back behind us, even though they're running away. Okay, they've stopped calling now. Okay, watch out, Chandra. Okay? Yep. Yeah. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Catching up with the lions on the other hand might not be that easy. as Kate just asked an update on the Birmingham. Okay guys, the last one was that's across the drainage line, but there's still generally mobile straight north towards Mumba Road. So this is an incredibly thick block. So what I am going to do is I'm actually going to go out up onto the road and try to loop around to the next road. Fortunately, with them vocalizing, watch out, corners behind you, Jandre. As they are moving quite quickly and they're moving very, very much in a northerly direction, we've got a good chance of finding them again, especially because they are vocalizing as well. Sorry about all the bumps. We have to try and get there quickly because they are moving so fast. Big hole. Okay, out of the bush, let's try zoom around to Mumba Road. There they are. They've stopped in the road. Or one of them at least. I think they're probably stopping to listen to see if the Matimbas push them further. So not often you get to look eye level of the line when a nice little drainage line he's lying up above us. Birmingham lying up on Mumba Road, about 100 meters to the west of junction with Drakensberg. So we can only see one, but I'm quite sure the other five probably not too far off. Staring directly towards where the Matimbas were coming from, listening intently, trying to see if they call back. So we're just listening carefully now, see if we can hear where the Matimbas might be. Here come more of the males. I'm just going to move forward a little bit. So there's the others are arriving. It looks like they're going to continue. So John and Dave are wondering, would the other Matimba males try join up with, would they try join up with the other 3 northern Matimba males to increase their numbers? And well, John and Dave, unfortunately, I don't think they would. They've been apart for so long, and also the fact is that there's now a new coalition of males that is in between the separate Matimba coalitions called the Salati males. So I think it'd be very difficult for them to join up with the other Matimbas. As far as I heard, the other Matimbas are actually all the way in the Timbavati game reserve, so completely on the other side of the Manyeleti. So I think there's very little chance of that happening. I think they're going to have to fight for themselves. So they're going to keep me busy now, going through quite a thick area. Fortunately, I have followed quite a lot of animals through this area, so I know a few shortcuts. So on the sunset safari, we saw a hairy-bellied Matimba mating with a Styx lioness, and Ron from Scotland is wondering, the fact that he's been mating for so long, will he be a bit weaker? Possibly, but I don't think enough to warrant any worry in a fight. The lion fights are very, very aggressive, but generally very, very brief, and it's over very quickly. So a lot of that initial fight is what accounts the first couple of seconds. I think the experience of the hairy-bellied Matimba might outweigh the numbers of the Birminghams at the moment. Might be wrong, and with these lion sort of dynamics happening at the moment, and takeovers and pride takeovers and area takeovers, there is a lot of this back and forth while they try size each other up to decide whether or not to go in for the sort of kill. Sorry guys, people just trying to get hold of me on the radio. Station looking for Brent, go ahead. Birmingham lying up now just probably 100 meters to the north of Mumba Road on the western side of that small drainage. So we saw that Styx lioness mating with the Matimba last night, and Gilly from Milwaukee is wondering whether Gilly from Milwaukee would like to know whether she would mate with these Birmingham boys now that she's still sort of just off estrus. I think at the moment, Gilly, she would avoid them at all costs. They're young and they're not possibly the best option at the moment. Although saying that, if she came across one of them by themselves, she might. But I think a group of 5 at the moment, sort of young and dumb and full of testosterone, so they could possibly even attack her and be not sure what to do with her. So it's quite interesting to see what's happening at the moment. So Linda from Spokane, welcome. Linda's on the mating and cubs and whatnot. Linda's wondering, would the Birminghams know that those cubs are not theirs, and from that lioness who was mating with the Matimba last night and killed them? Most definitely, Linda. Almost all cubs that are going to be born now or been born in the last 2 years are under threat from the Birmingham boys. This guy's got quite a sort of rough look about him. So I was saying he looks like he's been in a bit of a war, a bit like a boxer. Does look like he's got some swelling on his left eye. It's not 100% sure. That could be from fighting with other members of his coalition. There we go, you can see. Let me try to get my binos and have a closer look at that. So, a little swelling. It does look like his eye is leaking a little bit of fluid, and that's possibly what's giving him that dark, almost like he's got a black eye impression. That might not be from fighting. That could he might have got grass in his eye that's irritated him, or even a stick. But even if you look at his nose, you can see there's a bit of bare skin behind his ear, and that looks more like he's been scratching than anything else. I don't think that's from fighting. If you look at his nose, he's got lots of scratches on his nose. Being part of a coalition of 5 male lions, their meal times will be very aggressive. So a lot of those, oh, there we go. Actually, as he turns his head, you can see there's sort of a little wound there behind his ear. Very superficial. And you can see it started healing already. Nothing very serious there. I'm pretty sure that was probably from one of the other coalition members. Does look like he's got very, very short whiskers. That's quite strange. And you can have a look, when he turns his nose is starting to go black. He's got a pink spotty nose. So I just heard in my ear, guys, that the Matimbas stopped on our southern boundary and have now turned back towards the buffalo kill, obviously not wanting to waste a free meal. I will try to find out later in the day from the guys to the east of us whether the sticks and cubs stayed on that kill or they did skedaddle. So guys, unfortunately it sounds like the gremlins on Jigga are not going to disappear today. So unfortunately you won't be seeing Jamie this morning, and you're going to be stuck with Jandre and I for the rest of the drive. Warming up quite nicely at the moment, losing a few layers. So it has been an incredibly sort of exciting start, and Sandy from Indiana said she's been watching for many, many years, and said this is possibly one of the most exciting drives she's ever watched. Well, thanks very much, Sandy. Great to have you on the back of the vehicle. Really wonderful to have you with us. What I am going to do now is I'm going to try reposition slightly so we can have a look at some of the other males. Try to see where I can sneak around them. How's that, Chandra?
Maybe just left hand down forward.
So then we can have a look at two of the other males, and it's fascinating that although I'm not 100% sure, there probably is a little bit of variation in age between them, but even then if you have a look from their manes, variation in manes between animals of the same age, and that was very apparent in that coalition I spent a lot of time with a few years ago called the Mapojos, and there was quite a famous one who got nicknamed Mr. T because he had a mohawk like Mr. T from the A-Team, although most of the trackers didn't call him Mr. T, they called him Satan. So guys, I think these guys are probably close between 4 and 5 years old, but I'm not 100% sure, and this is the first time I've seen them. So if any of you guys have a little bit more information about that, please could you let me know if you know how old they are. And as James and I were discussing them recently, with a name like Birmingham, I'm pretty sure they've come from the Timbavati, a farm called Timbavati near a place James used to work. So they are quite far from their natal range. That's obviously what you want with male lions, so they're not mating with their sisters and mothers and aunts. And you can send that information to me via email or via Twitter. The email address is questions@wildearth.tv, or you can just use the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. So we've got 4 visual at the moment, and I'm sure the 5th is lying somewhere close by. I'm just going to try reposition again. So, what an exciting drive. Lisa's wondering if I've been able to work out who's the most dominant of these males. Not yet. It was quite difficult because we only had 3 for the beginning moving, and the other 2 had already crossed into the southern section. Excuse me. But hopefully we will be able to figure it out as we spend more time with them. It'll be very interesting. And welcome to Bob, who's a new viewer, and so this is the first drive he's ever watched, and he says he's not sure whether any other driver is going to be able to top the excitement of this. Well, welcome Bob, thanks very much for joining us, and hopefully we can top the excitement of this in the drives to go forward. But back to sort of lines and hierarchy and whatnot, there is a definite hierarchy amongst these 5 males. There will be one who is most dominant, all the way down to the least dominant. And that doesn't stay the same forever. It can change during the coalition's time, but normally it is relatively stable, but there will be sort of little jumps and drops. But now it looks like they're settling down. I don't think they're going to move too much from here. So they've probably put about 1.5 kilometers between themselves and the Matimbas. I know a lot of you guys have become very fond of a young junior of the Nkuhumas, and Amy is wondering, is he in danger from the Birmingham boys? Amy, an emphatic yes. If these 5 males got hold of him, they would tear him limb from limb. But fortunately for Junior, he is probably been listening to all of this, as the Nkuhuma pride's probably, as the crow flies, 2.5–3 kilometers from here, and if he's got any sense, I think he should think about trying to go find some other male lions to form a coalition with and move very far away from where the Birminghams are. I think time has come for him to leave his natal pride. Like with all young boys, I'm sure he doesn't want to leave his mum, but it is his time to do that now. So we now have a bunch of flat cats. So I think we're going to wait here a little bit longer, but we will move along to see what else we can find. Sorry guys, I'm just going to be on the radio for a few seconds. Good morning, Tom. Go ahead. Affirmative. They're lying up now. Best access is if you come west down Mumba. You'll go past a small drainage line just past, or probably about 100 meters from the Drakensberg junction. They're lying up on the western side of the drainage line, about 100 meters north of the road. If you come down Mumba, you should get my visual. Thanks very much, Lisa, who's let me know the Birmingham boys were born in 2010, so roughly around 5 years old, between 4 and 5 years old, as was my estimate. And Boularay's wondering, does black-maned lions mean more testosterone? In some of the research and stuff I've read, apparently it does. The darker the mane, the more testosterone in the individual. So very interesting, although I have seen light-colored male lions also be dominant over black male lions, even though they have more testosterone. But I think there's an ongoing study, and it'll be very interesting to watch where that study goes further. Sorry guys, I just need to get Tom into the sighting.